The world, they're saying, is getting younger, the competition more intense, the desire to exceed and excel perhaps stronger now than ever before. Youngsters are wanting to try something new, wanting to innovate. No surprises then that a record number of Indian students are now going to study abroad, in the UK figuring very high on their wish list. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at a whole host of aspects on how you can study in the UK. What course to pick, how to identify the college that is right for you, visas, scholarships, you name it. Well, we hope it's been of some use to you. Your questions, of course, keep throwing them at us, and we're going to try and get the experts to answer. Today, we have a very bright, young and accomplished group with us to talk about a whole host of things that perhaps you didn't know studying in the UK brings. And also, all those who want to go to the UK, and some questions are there, we are hoping are going to pose directly to this group that has studied in the UK, come back and now very successful in their own right. I mean, how did you sort of identify what you wanted to study? Where on the map do you want to go? How does one take that decision?
So UK was the obvious choice for me. A lot of the laws in India are based out of UK laws. So UK was the obvious choice for me, particularly intellectual property law.
It was London, it is historical, it is financial, it is modern, it is dynamic, it is very vibrant. So both the factors, and then again it had the course of my choice.
One of the reasons that why I went to the UK to study was the value that a UK degree adds to your profile.
The good news is there are something like 60,000 courses in the UK, all quality assured, and over the last 10 years about a quarter of a million Indian students have gone to the UK, done their studies, come back to India and prove their careers. So there's a whole range of courses in the UK for Indian students to look at, and you're absolutely right to work out where's your career heading and what goals I want to pick up, and then look at all the scholarship and bursaries and financial support you can get to help you get there.
What is it about a foreign education and overseas education that sort of employers are now increasingly standing up and taking note of, saying that it does add considerable value?
Increasingly, employers are looking for young people with a globalized outlook, but also with globalized experience or an international experience. So any student who's had experience of studying overseas, but also ideally doing some work experience overseas, then that will put them ahead of other applicants for jobs, because that's what employers are looking for. We live in a globalized world. Employers want to have young people with a globalized outlook and ideally with international experience.
What does it mean to be young in India today? We're at the iconic St. Stephen's College trying to speak to a group of students to try and find out the answer to just this question. We are with some of the brightest minds in India today, students at IIT Delhi, students who are going to be shaping India's tomorrow. We are very fortunate to be at JNU, where of course political consciousness among students has always been among the highest anywhere in the country. How do you choose between taking that job, your first job, perhaps a campus placement, or studying further? It's a dilemma that lakhs of students around the country have faced, and it's one that's not going anywhere in a hurry. We are at the prestigious IP College for Women at Delhi University. Let's just hear from a bunch of students here on how they would make the choice. We're at one of India's top management institutions, the Faculty of Management Studies in Delhi. We're at the very well-known and prestigious Gargi College here in Delhi, speaking to a bunch of young and enthusiastic students on the road ahead for them, and what would they like to see change in the years ahead. Anyone who disagrees, but at the end of the day, society influences you. Decisions. It's okay to say your family backs you, but what about, you know, other rishtedar and all of that?
Actually, when I first opted for humanities, there were many rishtedars who popped out that beta engineer doctor bano, tum kamaoge kya, khaoge kya. But now at the end of the day, when I took philosophy and now I have a job, at the end of the day, my parents are so much proud of me that people can't find job in the time of recession. When I got placed, my mom said, recession mein kisse job milti hai, tumhe mil rahi hai, tum isse le lo.
Nowadays, nobody is just going to be happy with a BA degree or just a graduate degree. I think everybody is going to go on to a master's, and a job is just the first step.
At times, what students do expect is that, okay, if we have a content preparation, that's what is going to be us in the final interview. That's not exactly the case. So one of the interviews, company which I wanted to be in, they did not ask me anything whatsoever related to my past experience about the content preparation, nothing at all. The entire discussion went on about my life, my decision, my family, my girlfriend, all this and that, everything all together. The entire discussion was so overwhelming at times. I was wondering what is happening right now. I did not get through that final interview. That's I'm accepting that.
We get Mr. Anand, what do you believe that this recruiter was actually thinking? Were they just whiling away time, or were they trying to figure something out?
Again, on the lighter side, I think the recruiter was also wanting a break.
Thousands of students graduating from management colleges across the country every year. But somehow, their entrepreneurial ideas don't seem to graduate with them. Why? Well, I'm here at the campus of IIM Bangalore just to find out.
We're at the IIT Bombay campus and we're joined by students pursuing different programs and hence also harboring different dreams and ambitions. Now, while some here want to be entrepreneurs, a few others, however, want to play it safe and go in for the placements.
Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Heads Up. Special because we are reaching a significant milestone. We turn 100 today. This is our 100th episode. To use a cliche, we don't know how time has flown. Even while teaching us some very interesting things about India's young, what are they hoping to achieve and how? Along the way, we've stumbled upon such interesting facts like why are we still producing so many engineers? Where do all our engineers go? And the kind of questions they're asking in those campus placements in our top management institutes. Here are some glimpses of our journey so far. What do you believe, is the one thing that if we've heard about the free Wi-Fi, we've heard about the collaboration, but in your line of work, how has that helped you? Has there been sort of like one tangible thing that you can talk about?
Networking. I found this man today and he's doing my coasters now.
Yeah, so
we discovered Just Joe today and he's making a lot of our merchandise.
He's a brilliant illustrator and he's doing some great merchandise for us. So yeah, we happened to meet him here and we saw him working on something that he was doing as a project, and that's when we approached him and said, hey, we're looking for someone to do something on the lines of this because we want to start our own merchandise as well. And yeah, it worked brilliantly.
Co-working and co-creating. How super really to see those concepts being welcomed so warmly in India. Is the phrase live your dream a cliche? What does it even really mean, and is it as easy as some people make it out to be? Probably not, but perhaps the answer lies in using another cliche, where there's a will, there's a way. With me now, some of those who perhaps did the unexpected, or certainly what wasn't expected of them all along. They're still doing it, in fact, loving it. Let's not waste any time. Let's meet all of them. Melvin Thomas, an IITian, now with the Baichung Bhutia Ball Academy. Amitesh Grover, Assistant Professor at the National School of Drama. And Ankur Garg, who started I for India, aimed at changing politics. Ankur, I'll start with you. This is a country where people are so cynical. Maybe it's a world that we live in, not just a country, but we're so cynical, especially at a certain age. And there you are. You left Microsoft to do this. Why? What got into you? Young country eager to learn, grow, and move forward. There's of course no debate around the fact that education is going to be the game changer for India in the years and decades ahead. Along with the government, private players now playing a very crucial role in changing the education scenario in India. But of course the glass is half full and half empty as always. What do we need on the road ahead? We've made a beginning, but how can we leverage our position? That's what we are looking at in this special panel debate. I have a special guest with me, Dr. Gurinder Singh, Amity Group Additional Vice Chancellor, Dr. Pramatraj Sinha, Founder and Trustee, Ashoka University, Founding Dean, ISB Hyderabad, Rohin Kapoor, Senior Manager with Deloitte, and of course, our expert Mahesh Sharma of Careers 360. Thanks all so much for being with us. Dr. Sinha, there is no doubt that private players, like I said, have changed the scenario as far as education is concerned. What do you believe has been their biggest success and their one biggest failure? Is now the best time to be an entrepreneur in India? A young country that's keen on taking risks, keen on not following the straight and narrow, keen on breaking out and trying its own ventures. Well, that's what we're looking at today. Entrepreneurship, if you believe you have it in you, if you believe you have a good idea, is now the time to cash in. With this very special panel now with us, Upasana Gupta of the Little Black Book with us, as Shuchir Suri, founder of Food Talk India. We're also joined by Anshul Tiwari, who is founder and editor-in-chief of Youth Ki Awaaz, and Kumar Gaurav, co-founder at Sun Bazaar. Thanks all so much for joining us. Hello and welcome. A very special panel today on Heads Up. The idea not being to pay lip service to women of India, but to hear from a group of talented and accomplished women in their own words what it means for them to be a woman in India today and the kind of India they'd like to leave for the young girls, the women, and of course the men and the boys as well in the years ahead. Let me introduce my panel now. There's Sachi Soni, a mountaineer, Sonia Jain, a biker, and of course a trekker as well, Mridula Koshi, an author, Pallavi Parikh, who is an entrepreneur in the online education space, and Rimzim Dadu, who has a fashion label of her own. Thanks all so much for being with us. Mridula, let me start by asking you, there's been so much focus, you know, on women in India, on the haves and the have-nots, the challenges, the glass, you know, often in discourse seeming to be more half empty than half full. When you sort of take a step back and look at all that's going on with women in the country today, women accomplished like yourself, loads of others like you, and those who are perhaps still struggling with the most basic issues, how do you see the scenario?
I'll just speak personally about my own. You know, you described me as accomplished. I feel accomplished, but I work in a line of work which, like any other line of work that women enter, is dominated by male voices. So it's an accomplishment to be here, but it doesn't mean that it's not a struggle to be here. So it's both at the same time. So maybe the glass is both half full and half empty. And I think it speaks to the strength of women that we're able to balance those sorts of contradictions. We have no choice.
I'll give you the chance to speak first. Your 1 minute starts now. Why are you against quotas? Your time starts now.
When the college chooses, he chooses a child who is 100% in their particular, you know, event or whatever quota you can say. So if they choose from sports, they choose someone who has, say, 95% in the sports. But when they choose from academics, it's again 95%.
Asta, your time starts now. You have 1 minute. You're saying course.
The seats are limited. The contestants, the students fighting for seats.
The demand and supply really completely skewed.
Yes, it's completely skewed.
Priti, I'll let you have the first word because you are voting for a government job. Your time starts now. India being a young country and all that, it can leverage from good quality education with access across the country to everyone, irrespective of which part of the country, urban or rural, you come from. An institution adapt, given all the challenges, all the demands. And of course, this, why are we losing our talent to the West? An argument, the brain drain argument, and now of course we've also seen reverse brain drain, and now it's sort of all a grey area, if I may say. But
right. I think what you have to do, and I think other universities in India have also done it, is really push back and innovate and try to do the best you can. I think it is possible to innovate. I think it's possible to bring good practices and do wonderful things in this country. We've been able to attract back some of the faculty that Dr. Singh was talking about. And if you really ask me, we do not need foreign universities in India, and I'm not saying this out of any jingoism. What we really need is faculty. That's the key resource. That's what they will bring. So why not focus on bringing faculty back to India? Can we transform the entire system and take a top-down approach to saying what are the different pieces that need to be put in place with a clear end game in mind?
So India is one of the youngest nations in the world with half of its populations below 30 years of age. What, according to you, inspires entrepreneurs in India?
Entrepreneurship is one which creates enterprises, and enterprises are those which offer employment. And this is one aspect which is being addressed under the new ministry, and I think we have made a headway. But the startups, whether it's incubation, whether it's angel investment, all this which is still to flag itself as far as the economy is concerned. But the government is committed today to get into entrepreneurship, and that we are doing in a big way.
Any student who's had experience of studying overseas, but also ideally doing some work experience overseas, then that will put them ahead of other applicants for jobs, because that's what employers are looking for. We live in a globalized world. Employers want to have young people with a globalized outlook and ideally with international experience.
Money does not solve the marketing problem. So, marketing a bad product is the best way to fail. Stay connected with your audience and make sure that you have the relevant product for them. And then it talks for itself.
We also spoke to someone who had started up more than a decade ago when things were not as rosy. Hear out Biocon's Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw with her take on this trend.
Now, I think rather than moving on to another organization which is what most people have done in the past. I think they believe that the path ahead is about creating their own ventures. And I think this actually augurs well for the country, because I always believe that for every job that a large organization creates, an entrepreneur creates 10.
Creating the right kind of content for different digital mediums, engaging with consumers, and utilizing big data analytics, three key challenges that both big businesses and startups have to deal with in this era of ever-changing technologies. But while big businesses have the advantage of resources, how should startups go about building their brand?
With big data and data being more transparent of late, I think startups can make better business decisions. They can better forecast the future in terms of, whenever they start up, what's the kind of outlay they're looking at. And it also gives them a much broader sense of what's happening in the industry, which was very difficult earlier. I mean, you really had to network with thousands of people.
What's happening in the market.
Exactly.
Hi, I'm Gautam Kotamraju, the Chief Creative Officer of Myntra.com. I think NDTV Prime is doing a great service by bringing alive this show called the Heads Up Show, aimed at the students who are looking to graduate soon from whichever stream, whichever course, whichever college they're in, because the people like us who also graduated from similar colleges are able to connect and bring to you what other avenues you could explore other than just what your placement cell could bring. And I think it's a great service NDTV Prime is doing.